Hey there, sweet friends. I hope you are all well. Welcome back, or welcome if you're new. It's day 6 of our 13 days of Halloween tutorial series. If you're just joining in, you can find links for the first 5 days at the top of the description so you can get caught up. And remember to listen throughout the video for the question of the day. For today's project, we are celebrating all things Pinkoween with this sweet little pocket journal I have created. Lots of different flips. There are inserts in pockets. This opens all the way out and then also folds up. So there's plenty of room in here for your pictures and journaling. If that sounds good to you, then stick around and we'll make it together. I'm working with that little booth thing collection from Photoplay paper, and I am obsessed with this cheerful, bright palette. All of the images are super sweet, and it has been so much fun to work with something a little bit non-traditional. It is basically more accepted now that we can celebrate Pinkoween, but this is a really sweet collection to work with. So let's get started on that cover, and I'm working with sturdy black cardstock. For this, the measurement is 5 high by 10.5 wide. It's scored at 5 and 5.5. So we're going to get a nice amount of depth. And you can see I've added my Post-it notes as I go along just to keep things in order. This book is going to have lots of different flips. And so the first thing I need to do is add a second piece with a little depth built in. And so this piece is 5 high by 10.25 wide, scored at 5 and 5.25. And so when we bring these two pieces together, I'm going to get a little bit more depth to work with for layering up the inside of the book. And of course, I'm going to use my 2 glue combo. I've already added my double-sided tape there. And you might have noticed the Post-it note I took off. The previous piece was blue, so this helps to keep me organized, getting all of these in the proper position. And I am right-handed, so I need to flip this around. It's easier to get this positioned if you fold up on your score line and then set that corner right down in, and you've got it exactly where you need so that it will function properly. And so you just want to give that a little bit of contact. The tape will hold it while the glue sets up. Then we can continue to work along. So I'm going to work on the left-hand side first, and then we'll add the right-hand side. So this is one of the flips, and then when we get on the inside, I have a flip that goes upward. And so this is going to be 5 high by 10 wide and scored at 5. And so this one does not have the extra space built in. And of course, we'll continue with that 2 glue combo. This time, the yellow Post-it notes come together. Folding up on the score line again and positioning that right along the edge, keeping it straight and even along the bottom so we know everything will open correctly. So first, this will fold down and this will fold over. And now what I want to do is add a pocket to this. And I want to be able to utilize my cut apart images from the collection as inserts. So let's make a pocket now. I'm just going to show that with this piece of white scrap paper. It's a little bit easier to see on camera. And so I have my piece cut to be 7 high by 7 wide. And I'll bring this to my scoreboard. I'm going to score it at 1 inch and then also at 6. Then I'll flip that around and score it at 5. And so the depth of the pocket will be 2 inches. Now you can see I've indicated here with these hash marks, this is the portion I want to remove. And I found that much easier for my finished project to use my guillotine cutter so that I could get everything nice and straight and even. But I'll just share with you here with scissors, and you can do the same. Just be very careful to keep everything nice and neat. So I would take side off of either end. Fold that up on the score line and clip a little of the excess here off. This will give you a nice, clean, crisp corner and reduce a little bit of that bulk. So now you would flip that over, and I'm going to use my 2-glue combo to adhere this whole unit onto the base. Before we get that far though, I need to finish the inside of this pocket so that we can have the collection paper in the pocket itself. So let's flip this over. You see I've switched to the black cardstock that is going to be the base. And I have my collection paper here. It is cut to be 4 7/8 by 4 7/8. And so we'll just center that and we'll get a nice border of that black cardstock. And all of these additional layers help to make this much more sturdy and bulky. And that is how we like our folios to be. So let's take the last Post-it note off. And you can see I've just added my tape. I'll take the backing off and fold that over. Let's go ahead and add the front of the pocket now, since we have it flat on our work surface. And so this is going to be 1 7/8 high by 4 7/8 wide. And that's just going to get centered right along the front of that pocket. I'm using the A and B side just so that I can utilize all those offcuts and get the best use out of my paper. And remember, we got to do that 2-glue combo again to adhere this to the book. It will be easier to fold that open to get it flat on your work surface and get that positioned and added right along your score line. This is a good time for the question of the day. Would you rather have a sleepover in a spooky cemetery or in a haunted house? And I don't know what I would answer. I don't run very fast or very far, so being in a cemetery might not be helpful, but if you were in a haunted house, you could get lock yourself in a room, but then you'd be trapped in a room with ghosts. So I don't know which one I would pick, but let me know what your choice would be in the comments below. Okay, so now you can see how this is going to work. We'll open that book, we'll have a pocket, and then we'll open this flap, and then we'll have another top folding section as well. So let's go ahead and finish off these bits. Now I want to keep in mind where my patterns are falling as I work along, and I'm going to try and utilize these stripes and the all over patterns so that they don't look busy. Finish off that top. So now this is going to be the front of that flap. And I like this diagonal stripe. I have to move that a little so I can see. And I'm going to utilize the B side again for this section. Very stylized skulls. I think they are very cute. They are not scary at all. And now you can see how well those go together. So I have prepared the other side, and I use the exact same process and measurements, and I also use the exact same pattern, so I know when I start to open up all these flaps it will be well coordinated. So let's pull the tape backing off this side and add it here. Now remember, if you're working with a book and it's opening to the left on one side and the right on the other, that you'll have to keep all of those in the right order. And that is another reason it is helpful to have all of those Post-it notes, keeping in mind if you color coordinate them, it will be much easier to know which portion goes to which. And let's add this pocket here. I imagine if you're left-handed, this would be easier to do working from the other side. I just want to get that right down in there and keep it nice and straight and even as I'm working along. So 2 pockets that open outward and then 2 flaps that open upward. Have some inserts planned for these pockets. For each one, I want to include one of the 4x4 cut-aparts. Slide that in there. And then for each one, I've also included a layered card, a layered insert. And so the measurement for this is 4x4, and the pattern paper is 3 7/8 by 3 7/8. And that will go down in there as well. Put that on that cardstock so it will be extra sturdy. Now I have a folded insert that I want to include. And so the cardstock for this is 3 high by 8 wide and scored at 4. And I added this, and I'm going to add one of the image cut aparts to the front. And I have cut this to be 3 7/8 by 2 7/8. And that's going to give me the nice border of the black cardstock. And I've also finished the other surfaces in here as well. Not only does it make it finished all the way around, but definitely adds to the sturdiness. And so let's put this down in here. You can see I've stacked those pinks and blacks so that all of these layers are very noticeable. Here is one for this side as well. Put that in there. So here's the inside all done. And you can see how nice and thick and chunky that has gotten. There's still plenty of room in that pocket for additional flat keepsakes or mementos, so you can really load this up when you finish it. So now let's get that cover sorted out. I do want to add pattern paper, and for some reason I always tend to gravitate toward plaid for the cover. I don't know if that's just for my own personal style or what, but I always love plaid on the cover. Now I did add just a little bit of some double-sided tape here. I don't know if you can see that so well, but I want to secure my trim, and I'm continuing to use that black and white plaid ribbon from Really Reasonable Ribbon. Seems to work pretty well for all of these projects so far. I'm tacking that into place, and I open up my book again because it's just easier to work when it isn't quite as bulky. So here is my plaid for the front cover. And I'm utilizing the B side for my layering pattern. I just have that cut to be the width so that I can utilize the border that we already have established. Now I'm going to switch to a black doily as opposed to a white doily, which I would typically use, but I think it kind of anchors my tag a little bit better. And this is going to go pretty much as far to the right as I can get because I do want to have room for the additional elements I'm adding. And so this is the tag I want to use. And like I said, it's white in the background, so I didn't think I would get enough contrast. And I have cut this with a tag shaped die, put it on thick cardstock and foam tabs to add dimension. And then I also included an eyelet here and worked some twine in, and this is going to go, as I mentioned, further over to the right. Because the image on this tag is pretty large, I am going to add my flowers here, and they are pretty much just going on the left-hand side. I don't have any of it wrapped around the bottom. And so in keeping with our Pinkoween theme, these pink poinsettias are going to be perfect, and they are actually left over from our Christmas series, so I'm happy to get use out of them. I've added some die-cut glitter paper leaves just to add a little bit of sparkle, and then my regular die-cut and netting and loopy twine bows, and then I have just a little bit of that coordinated trim here, and that is going to go right on the side, and I'm going to position this so that I can see the whole image on that tag. I'll add that with hot glue. And then of course I want to add my usual finishing details. So I've just got a couple of little spider charms here, and I'll add those with hot glue again with some string. Top that with a button to cover the cut ends of the string. So I'm just going to add these sequins as our final detail, and that's going to be it for day 6. I sure do hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, don't forget to come back tomorrow for day 7. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. You can check those links in the description. And as always, I'm wishing you a happy and productive day. I thank you so much for watching. Bye.